Hello everybody, welcome to Mr. Morrow's algebra class. I know that a lot of you are very disappointed with the 1-1 to 1-3 lesson quiz that we took in class. I want to go ahead and go over that one by one today on video so you could really have time to process it over the weekend. Okay, so let's first start with lesson 1-1. For number 1 it said describe the pattern. That's the first thing that most people did not do. And it says sketch the next figure in the pattern. Okay, it's not going to be as pretty as the drawing on the quiz, but this is pretty much what's going on. Sorry, I'm taking so much time here. Okay, so what's happening here? I've got 4, then 6, then 8, then 10. So it says describe the pattern. So I am adding 2 to each figure. That's describing. And then it says sketch the next figure. Well, 10 plus 2 more, the next figure would have an extra space here and an extra square there, and it would have 12 tiles. Okay. Hope you understand that. Remember, most of you got the sketch the figure correct, but you did not read and you did not describe the pattern. All right, for number 2. For number 2, it says, how many tiles are in the nth figure? Well, a lot of you were confused about what the nth means. Well, I was a little disappointed with that. The nth can represent any number, the 4th or the 5th or the 100th or the 10,000ths. Whatever figure it is, there's going to be a rule to apply to that figure. They want to know how many tiles are in the nth figure. Well, let's look at what they gave us. All right, they gave us the following. Then they went here. Then went here. Wait, no, too much. Sorry. Okay, and then they had this colored in here. All right. When we went over this in the lesson videos, I said that you have to create a table to get the rules. That's going to be the best way to do this. It's also in your book. And, you guys got to really focus and practice the skills that are taught. I'm never going to teach you something exactly the way it's going to be on the test. The whole point of math is for you to be able to apply the knowledge I gave you. So let's just think about this. This is figure 1, this is figure 2, figure 3, figure 4. So you can make a table with the figure number, and then the number of tiles. Okay? And the way the book describes it actually, let's go ahead and do this. They have a center part called the processing column. So this is the figure, and we're going to call this PC for processing column. Figure 1 has 3 tiles. Figure 2 has 6 tiles. Figure 3 has 9 tiles. Figure 4 has 12 tiles. What am I doing to each figure to get the number of tiles? Well, 1 plus 2 gives me 3, but does 2 plus 2 give me 6? The answer is no. So that's not going to work. What's another way to go from 1 to 3? Well, by multiplying by 3. Okay, let's see if it works for all of them. Does 2 times 3 work? Yes. 3 times 3 works. 4 times 3 works. So for figure n, if we put it through the processing column, n times 3, the number of tiles is going to be 3n. So you can plug in any figure number now, and you'll know the number of tiles. If it's figure number 50, well, 50 times 3, the processing column, gives you 150 tiles. Okay, that was number 2 on quiz 1-1. Number 3. Okay, it gives you the following graph, and you've got, goes by 2s. This is 8, and then this bottom part goes by 1s. Of course, you can see this much better on your quiz. This is total games, and this is the cost per person, okay, in dollars. And then at 1, it's here between the 2 and the 4, so that's $3. At 2, it's at the 6. At 3, it's at the 9. So let's figure out what's happening here. Make a little table. Number of people and the cost. Oh, sorry. Let's do a processing column. PC for processing column, cost. One person costs $3. 2 people cost $6. 3 people cost $9. What did I do to the number of people to get $3? Well, I could add $2. That works for that one, but 2 plus 2 is not 6, so adding 2 does not work. How else can we get from 1 to 3? Let's multiply by 3. That works. 2 times $3 is 6. 2 times $3, 3 times $3 is 9. Okay, so we know that it's $3 per person. Okay, that's how I define this pattern. Now it says, what is the total cost if 4 people each bowl 4 games? Well, let's think about this. It's $3 per person, which is 4, which equals $12, times 4 games each, which is $48. Please make sure you put the dollar sign. Please don't just put a 48, because the reader may not know what that represents. Is that 48 glasses of water, 48 cookies, 48 what? $48, please. And that's 1-1. Okay, for quiz 1-2. For number 1, everyone got this wrong, with all due respect, because you did not read and you did not learn the number sets. The number sets are real numbers. Real numbers include rational numbers. Rational numbers include whole numbers, natural numbers, integers, repeating decimals, terminating decimals, and perfect squares. You also have irrational numbers, which are numbers that cannot be written in fraction form. They include non-repeating and non-terminating decimals, and they also include non-perfect squares. For number 1, it says the height of an equilateral triangle, H, so that's the height, equals radical 3 over 2 times S, where S is the length of the side. Suppose you have an equilateral triangle that is made with 2-inch toothpicks. Equilateral means that the sides are all the same. So that means that S equals 2 inches. So A, which set of numbers best describes the value of S in inches? Well, we know that S equals 2 inches. Now, 2 inches could be a natural number, a whole number, an integer. It is a rational number as well. But they want to know which is the number that best describes. Well, since we're talking about sides of an equilateral triangle, S can never equal 0, so it can't be a whole number. S can never be a negative number, so it cannot be negative, so it cannot be an integer. Okay? In this particular case, it's not a decimal, so we wouldn't say rational. So we'd say that the best description for this number set would equal a natural number, which are the counting whole units starting with 1. And then for B, which set of numbers best describes the value of h in inches? Well, h equals radical 3 over 2 times s, which is 2. We already knew that s was 2. This is called evaluating. We went over evaluating. That's when you plug in a known value into an expression and solve. Well, I got a 2 over 1 here times a radical 3 over 2. These 2's cancel, so h is radical 3. Radical 3 is a non-perfect square, so that is an irrational number. Is it a real number as well? Yes, but they're asking you for which set of numbers best describes the value of h, which is radical 3, and that's irrational. For number 2, it says, what is the graph of the numbers 9/4, negative radical 7, and 1.2 repeating? Well, my friends, we're talking about here a number line, okay? It's pretty simple. It's a number line. It's just a number line. That's what we mean by the graph. If I was talking about an x and y coordinate graph, you would have x's and y's, you'd have an equation. When I just tell you to graph these values or these numbers, what is the graph of these numbers? Just graph it. Well, 9/4 becomes 2.25. 2.25 is between 2 and 3, so that would be 2.25. Negative radical 7. Okay, negative radical 7 is between negative radical 4 and negative radical 9. So that's between negative 2 and negative 3. So it's going to be between negative 2 and 3. So we can estimate that that's negative radical 7. You didn't need the exact value. If you were looking for the exact value, well, then that would have been pretty easy too. Square root of 7 is a little bit closer to the square root of 9 than it is to the square root of 4. So you would start with 7.5 or above. And when you do 2.5 and above, so when you go 2.5 times 2.5, that's an easy one. That's going to be 6.25. So let's see if we can do better with 2.6. 2.6 times 2.6 is 6.76. And 2.7 times 2.7 times 2.7 is 7.29. This is 0.24 away from 7. This is 0.29 away from 7. So it's going to roughly equal negative 2.6. So it's about right there. And then last but not least, 1.2 repeating. It's a little bit beyond the 1, between the 1 and the 2. 1.2 repeating. And that's it. You graphed it. You're done. So I don't know what happened there, but that's how you fix this. Okay, for number 3, most of us got this one right. Okay, let me just go through it real quickly. Square root of 37 and 5.9. I want to compare them. Well, square root of 37 is between the square root of 36 and the square root of 49. Square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 49 is 7. So the square root of 37 is between 6 and 7. It's way closer to the 36, so we're going to start with 6.1. Okay? And 6.1 times 6.1 will render you 37.21, which is pretty accurate. So that equals roughly 6.1. And since 6.1 is greater than 5.9, then you can finally say the square root of 37 is greater than 5.9. And last but not least for this quiz, which property does the equation illustrate? 1 times 4/5 equals 4/5. This is the identity property of multiplication. Multiplication. you got to explain the property of what? Is it of multiplication, addition? What is it of? And you got to memorize these. This is a matter of learning this. So if you got that wrong, with all due respect, it's because you didn't study. All right, last quiz. Lesson 1-3 quiz. Which algebraic expression models the phrase 3 fewer than the sum of C and D? Remember that when you say less than or fewer than, you flip the front to the back and the back to the front. So 3 less than, it's going to go to the back, the sum of C and D. And there you go. The sum of C and D, it's a sum. Number 2, you have 128 ounces of milk and you drink 16 ounces per day. What algebraic expression models the amount of milk you have? Well, you have 128 ounces and you're taking away 16 ounces per day. Remember that we said per can mean multiply or divide. In this particular case, it is per day. Every day you're taking away 16 ounces. So that's the way it would go. For example, 128 minus 16 after 5 days. Well, 5 times 16 is 80. So it would be 128 minus 80, which would be 48 ounces left over. Okay. Number 3, evaluate. They give you negative a squared minus 2 times a minus 7 times b plus b for a equals negative 2 and b equals 3. Plug it in and solve. This negative is a negative 1 being multiplied to the a squared. The value of a is negative 2 squared minus 2 times the value of a, which is negative 2, minus 7 times the value of b, which is 3, plus b, which is 3. Well, this is going to be a negative times 4, because negative 2 squared is 4, minus negative 4 minus 21 plus 3. It's going to be negative 4 minus a negative 25 plus 3. Negative 4 plus 25 plus 3. This is 21 plus 3, which equals 24. Okay, if you got that wrong, you really got to understand why. Figure out what mistakes you're making. Number 4, you have a summer job detailing cars. You charge $5 to wash the car, so 5W, plus $25 to wax the car, so 25X, plus $2 to vacuum the car. What algebraic expression models the total amount you earn? This is the algebraic expression. Numbers, operation signs, and variables. The only thing you have to do here, though, is define the variables. W equals number of washes. X equals number of waxes. And V equals number of vacuums. How many cars you vacuumed? Okay? So now they tell you, just plug in. You had, you washed 8 cars, so 5 times 8, plus waxed 2 cars, 25 times 2, plus vacuum 6 cars, so 2 times 6. That's 40 plus 50 plus 12, which is 90, plus 12, which is $102. Most of you got the $102. You forgot to read and set up the algebraic expression. Number 5 came to my attention that is not fair. Number 5 is not fair. I have not shown you how to add like terms yet. I have not showed you how to use a distributive property. I apologize, and everyone got 5 extra points on their homework because of that. So hopefully now you see your errors. Please make sure you understand what you did. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.